Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Hi, this is Phil here with some more word origins for the people in my Ollie class that was canceled, or for anybody else that's interested in where the words come from. Now, a lot of the words that I've researched have ancient histories, 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 3,000 years, but not all are that old. And not all words are successful. There are words that are old, but nobody ever uses them. But there is one word, one word that is very new, and it is accepted in every nation, every culture, every part of the universe. Maybe not North Korea, okay, but everywhere else. This word is one of the most successful ones in the history of the world, because since its inception, it's used maybe 1 billion times a day. It is definitely the most successful one. It's no more than 100 years old. And this is a made-up word. I'm reading from my script here. I made notes so I wouldn't forget nothing. The word was made up by a 9-year-old boy in 1920. 1920. What were you doing in 1920? Well, obviously we weren't here, were we? A 20-year-old would be 100 years old today. Okay, this word is Google. Okay, or Gogol is the actual word. I was in my old folks exercise class 2 mornings ago, and a lady said, "Wait, Phil, I need to ask you a question before we left." That's the old people class where we sit down, and they say, "Okay, let's try to lift our right leg." Okay, that's it. 1. Let's count again. 2. It's nice because it's not stressful. And she came up and asked for advice. She was locked out of her email address on Cox, which is a local service here, and I found myself saying about 4 times, "This is what you do." I really don't know, but go into your browser and type and Google it. Put in, "I'm locked out of my email address." And believe me, some people will find it. So I used Google about 4 times. It's just what I'm thinking about it. And she knew what I was talking about. Anyway. So that caused me to start thinking about where did that word come from? In 1920, Edward Kastner, he was a professor of mathematics at Columbia University in New York City, was walking with his 9-year-old nephew in City Park. And he told this little boy that he had a problem. His name was Milton Serrata. Milton Serrata. He said, "I have a problem. I'm teaching these classes and my students can't seem to get the difference between an infinite number and a very, very big number. Can you help me with that? Can you come up with a name for a big, big number?" So his nephew, Milton Serrata, thought about it a bit and came up with the word Gogol, Googol. Now it's actually said, quote, "a 1 with as many zeros behind it until you get tired writing them." But that wasn't accurate enough for our mathematician, Edward. And so he changed it to a 1 with 100 zeros behind it. Now that's a big number. He published a textbook in 1940 about mathematics, and he used that story and he explained what this word came from. And of course, a Googleplex is that to the Google power. But anyway, let's stick with Gogol, Googol. But our beloved Google isn't Gogol. Back in the late 1990s, Larry Page and Sergey Brin were 2 graduate students at Stanford University. They were working on a search engine as a project of how can we find stuff. They had this brilliant idea of searching back pages. And so they came up with the idea of calling it Backrub. Backrub. That was the name they chose. And wasn't that great? They knew it, but during another brainstorming session, their friend Sean, a fellow graduate student, suggested the word Googleplex. Now, Larry liked that, but he liked the shorter one, Gogol. And so he turned to him, and who was sitting at the typewriter, the keyboard there, and said, "See if that has a domain name, if that's been claimed yet." And typed, but he mistyped it. Instead of typing Gogol, he typed in Google, Google. Sure enough, it wasn't registered, so they grabbed it and they kept that name. It's a great fix because they search billions of websites and they thought it would work well. Now, that is how they got the word Google. They were working out of a garage, somebody's house's garage at the time. And that's how it named. That's where the word Google, to Google something, comes from. And this is Phil signing out. Hope you enjoyed this. Remember, when you Google something, you're really Googling it, whatever. And let's have another thanks to the name of the young man, Milton Serrata, who also turned into a mathematics professor, by the way. Kid was smart. Thank you.